Hello, it's week 23 of season 5 of the Andy Griffith Show. This week's episode title is TV or Not TV. Barney, Andy and Ulti are reading a write-up on Andy in a national magazine called Law and Order. It's the National Sheriff's Magazine, and the name of the story is Sheriff Without a Gun. And in it, it says that Mayberry still has one of the lowest crime rates in the nation. But when they mention me, they misspell my name. But then Andy tells Ulti that he got a telegram from somebody in Hollywood saying that they want to do a TV show based on this article. He doesn't think he's going to be in it, though. And when you come over, you say you heard about this article all over town and you want to see it, and you want to know whether Andy's gotten his copy of the magazine yet. He says yes. And I say, well, why didn't you call me? Where is it? And he shows it to me, and I see the spelling mistake. And I say, you'd think a man who earns his living as a writer could learn to spell. He can spell the word capable, but he can't spell Fife. And then Andy tells me about the telegram, and I get in a good mood again, and I say, well, that's really something, ain't it? So next day, a television writer named Mr. Harvey and a production assistant named Miss Blake show up and say they've been wanting to do a sheriff piece, and the no-gun aspect is just the twist they were looking for. She says it could even be a TV series. And they say they just want to observe Andy for a while as he does his work. And then you come in with a rifle. Say you heard a rumor about an escaped criminal and you thought there might be fireworks. And Andy introduces you to the two TV people. And I say, so, you're figuring on doing a TV show, huh? Well, I've done a little acting myself. Mostly right here in Mayberry. And Mr. Harvey says he notices the sheriff doesn't carry a gun, but I do. And I answer, that's right. I believe at least one of us should. I always keep this little lady right here, ready for business. So I show Mr. Harvey around, and Miss Blake stays and talks to Andy. She asked him why he doesn't carry a gun, and he says he'd rather have the folks in Mayberry respect him than fear his gun. And she says that's beautiful, and she wants to use it in her script. So he tells Miss Blake that most of y'all's work is very mundane and boring, but you, meanwhile, are telling Mr. Harvey some sensationalized stories of your work. And then Miss Blake stays behind to type up her notes while you three guys go out on patrol. And we see Goodler and Floyd, and we introduce them to Mr. Harvey, and they both tell him about times that they've been deputized, and then we move on. And at the end of the day, we take him to his hotel. He says he's going to call his producer and tell him to fly out here, because he's sure there's a TV show here. And when he gets back to his room, though, there's Miss Blake and another guy. And the audience finds out from their conversation that they're not movie people at all, or TV people, or Hollywood, or anything. They're planning to steal from you all. Of course, you don't know that yet. And next morning in the courthouse, you're writing a storyline for the show about y'all. Yeah, I read it to Andy. Fade in. A train pulls into a small town station, and two sinister-looking men get off the train. That's just the first part, where you grab the audience before you go into the advertisement. And then the two movie people from yesterday come in, along with their producer, Mr. Channel. And the producer says they need an exciting, suspenseful, dramatic story for the first show of the series. And he suggests a bank robbery, and he asks whether folks will believe that the Mayberry Bank has enough money to justify a robbery. And I say, well, sure, like tonight. I bet they had close to $50,000 in that vault on Friday. And they say, great, and they want to go see the bank, except Miss Blake. She wants to stay here with Andy and get some more information on his background. And I say, listen, I'll be glad to show you all around the bank, because I know every nook and cranny of it. Fire exits, alarm systems, the works. And at the bank, Asa, the security guard, is asleep again, but the bank manager, Mr. Neldrin, is real nice to the visitors, and he says make yourselves at home. Everything the bank has is yours. And they go look at the vault, and that night we all have supper at Andy's house. And then they say they have to get over to the hotel after supper and start working. They even have to work at night. And they're real interested in what time y'all go to bed, and then they leave. But the producer left his hat, And I say to Andy I'll take it by the hotel on the way home. And on the way, I notice a light moving around to the deck. And I get my gun and my bullets and I go in there. And Mr. General and the others are in there, robbing the place. But I don't know that yet, that's why they're there. He says they're in there to rehearse the escape scene. And they say they want me to be part of the scene. And I say, gee, I'd love to help. As I told you, I'd had considerable theatrical experience. What do you want me to do? And they tell me they want me to help stage the scene by taking this bag and heading for the door. And I do that, but then Andy comes in. And I say, Andy, you're ruining the escape scene. And he says, yeah, that's what he had in mind. And he says the door is then jennied, and he looks in the bag and finds the money. And he says, let's all go there to the courthouse. And they don't want to at first, because they know Andy doesn't have a gun, but then they see that Googer and Floyd in the squad car have rifles. So they go. Well, I'm glad it all ended up well. We'll see you next week for episode 24.